Hello everyone and welcome to a very nice game from chess.com's Pogchamps Championship. It's a tournament where popular streamers from different areas will compete for a prize fund of $50,000 and they will play not one of the games where they are usually playing, but that they will play chess. Now it's a very interesting concept, and I do believe that it will bring a lot of spotlight for chess. I've seen yesterday, not one stream, but different streamers that were streaming chess regarding the Pogchamps Championship had almost 100,000 live viewers. Maybe if you combine all of them, maybe even more. So that's really insane. And it's very nice to see that chess is doing so well in 2020. Now, I know Voyboy, as I've played a lot of League when I was younger, maybe some 5 years ago, maybe even 7, when it maybe through season 3 to season 5. So I've seen a lot of his streams and a lot of his videos, and that's why I chose this game. I'm not much of a Fortnite player. I've only played one Fortnite game in my life, so I don't know Nate Hill. But as I understand it, he's very, very accomplished and very popular in the Fortnite community as a professional gamer, also as a streamer. And he's also well known for his guitar skills and singing, as he did a lot of covers of popular songs before committing full time to Fortnite. So, as a lot of you guys have requested for some of the games from Pogchamps Championship, this is the one I chose, but you are more than welcome to suggest some other, and I will cover them as well. Now, without further ado, let's check it out. So Nate opens with e4, and the Voyboy goes for the Sicilian Defense. He goes for c5. We have knight to f3, knight to c6, and not the immediate strike in the center, which you would expect, or some bishop to b5 action, but bishop to c4. So immediately putting pressure on f7, and usually black will deal with this by going e6, but Voyboy goes for the second most popular option, which is d6. We have castles by Nate, so he finished development, very principled. He got his knight bishop into the game, made the room for the king to castle, and he castles. Voyboy continues development. We have knight to f6. Next he's going to go g6, bishop g7, castle kingside, and so on. So the pawn is also under attack, so d3, white defends it, and now g6. Voyboy prepares to fianchetto his dark square bishop, and knight to c3. Nicely continuing development. We have bishop to g7, and now a normal move here would be something like h3, and it is in fact the most popular move here. The problem is you've already developed the bishop and closed the pawn chain here. And bishop to g4 is definitely a threat. If bishop g4 is combined with knight to d4, it will put white's position into some trouble. So here, queen to e2 by Nate. Now, this is a new move in the position, and already as a move 7, we have a completely new game. Now, the reason why we have a completely new game is because white did not prevent the bishop to g4, and now this is a big problem. And Voyboy immediately takes advantage of this. So he goes bishop to g4, and now, of course, the threat is just knight to d4, and it will be problematic. Now, you don't have time for h3 now, because still knight to d4 attacks the queen, and you cannot capture because of the pin here. So you'd have to move, and then captures with check, captures and captures just completely annihilates white's defenses, and black will be a lot better here. So after bishop g4, Nate goes for bishop to e3. He guards the d4 square, doesn't allow the knight to jump in, and Voyboy castles here. So castles now... castles, and here we have bishop to b5. Now, trying to get rid of this knight, not allow him any jumps in the future. However, knight to e5 will still be dangerous here, as it comes with the same idea, just knight captures with check, knight captures with check, and after g-pawn recaptures, you're going to go bishop to h3 still. But okay, after bishop b5, Voyboy goes for queen to b6. Now he puts pressure on the bishop here, and also is ready to maybe recapture with the queen if this happens. But a4, defending the bishop one more time, and also preparing a5. So we have a6 attacking the bishop, and now we reach the position from the thumbnail. We have a5, and it's a pawn sacrifice that dislodges the knight from his comfortable square on c6. However, it's not all that easy to find compensation for such a sacrifice. Voyboy does grab the pawn. He goes for knight captures on a5, and now we have knight to d5 by Nate. And it's It's an interesting move. It probably comes with the idea that maybe if queen captures here, then maybe knight to c7 could go for a double attack, attacking the queen and the rook. However, you will still give 2 pieces for the rook, so it's not all that great. But the Voyboy doesn't even go for this. He just grabs the knight, and the bishop remains undefended. So he grabs a full piece here. So knight captures on d5. We have e captures, and now just queen captures on b5. So black wins a piece, and now it'd be well, it'd be great. Okay, c4 was played. He kicks back the queen. The queen still needs to keep an eye on the knight, so it's not as harmless. But after queen to b6, white no longer has any means of recapturing the piece. If this rook was on b1, and if you could go for something like b4, then you could win back your piece, because the knight wouldn't have anywhere to go, and it's impossible to capture due to this pin. However, you don't have it, and well, there's just no good way to grab back the piece. So here, queen to d2 with a double attack on the knight, but the b3 square is available to the knight. So knight to b3, and now there is a double attack on the queen and on the rook. So knight has to go back, queen d1, and now Voyboy just grabs the exchange. So knight captures rook. Queen captures on a1, and now even queen captures on b2. Voyboy offers to go into an endgame as he's up material. So queen captures with bishop captures, and now knight to d2. Not going for any further trades, as black is just up a full rook. So b5, Voyboy wants to create a passed pawn and win the game as soon as possible. We have c captures, a captures, the passed pawn has been created, and rook to b1 now, hoping that after the bishop moves you can maybe grab the b5 pawn, but Voyboy finds rook to a1, forces another trade. Black is up a rook, so every trade is favorable only for black. So rook captures on a1, bishop captures, and now knight to b3, going after the bishop here, but rook to a8, now nicely defending. We have h3, kicking away the bishop, and bishop to f5. So white's position is completely lost here, as he's still down a rook, and the Voyboy still has his passed b pawn. So bishop to g5, going after the e7 pawn, but king to f8. Voyboy nicely defends it. We have king to h2, and now bishop captures on d3. Grabbing yet another pawn. We have king to g3. White starts bringing the king into the game, but it is much too late, as white is still down a full rook. So rook to a3, putting pressure on the knight, and now you have to capture. So captures on a1, rook captures, and now king to f4. White can still hope to maybe block off the position and maybe grab a stalemate. However, it is easier said than done. Voyboy starts pushing his passed pawn. We have b4, king to e3, and now bishop to f5. Just getting the bishop out of harm's way. The bishop also guards the queening square, so it's not a problem. You don't even need the rook here. King f4, white brings the king up the board, but now b3. With bishop to h6 check, but it's not anything for black to worry about. We have g4 attacking the bishop, and bishop back to d3. King e3 attacking it again, but now rook to d1. And now you can no longer approach the bishop or the rook. So king f3, but now b2, bringing the queen into the game. h4, and now finally b1. Black promotes the pawn to a queen. We have h5, but now bishop to e4 check, and the king hunt begins. We have king to f4, and now rook to f1, preparing to capture on f2. H captures on g6, there's nothing better. Pretty much whatever you do, you get checkmated. So rook captures on f2, king g5, and now queen to c1 with check. Doesn't really matter where the king goes. If king to h5, then just rook to h2 is checkmate. So king to h4 was played, but now queen to h1 with check, king to g5, and now of course you will see mate in one. This is one of the few occasions where it is actually okay to play f6, and here Voyboy played f6, and well, it's just checkmate now, as the king has nowhere to go. So if f6 delivers checkmate, then it is okay to play f6. So it was a very interesting game by both of them, and at some point Nate just lost the thread of the game, and after this a5, which is interesting. There are of course openings and positions where this pawn is sacrificed to dislodge the knight. However, this wasn't one of them, and then knight to d5 was just too much. Probably he was going for this idea that I mentioned, but it's hard to say. So good game. Voyboy was better, and it's a well-deserved win. So these are some of the players that will be competing in this Pogchamps championship. So, whoops, sorry about that. Let me just load that. Okay, here it is. These are some of the streamers that will be competing. So here they are. So you know what's happening. So there you have it. We have Voyboy, Fusli, Nate Hill, Erob B221, Hutch, Moist Critical, Yasuo, and XQC. We've already checked out one game between XQC and Nakamura, so even for those of you who are not in the gaming community, you have already met him. So yeah, if you enjoyed it, do suggest some other games, maybe of your favorite streamers, and we're gonna check out those games as well. So that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Chaim Lobel, Francesco De Bartoli, Robert Holtzman, Bradley Schneider, and Stephen Kaufel for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon. Continuing the coverage of pretty much everything that's going on in the world today, checking up on your wonderful suggestions, continuing the Morphe saga, and so on. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your weekend.